Hey, what's up, everyone? It's in transit here, and I'm back again. So today I wanted to show you guys my workflow where creating beats is concerned, and definitely my process of using machine within Logic. Right. So let's dive right in. Well, a disclaimer as well that all these techniques that I'm about to show you, or these two main techniques that I'm about to show you, is that you just got to choose what works best for you and what you deem as important and less important, right? And then work with what's more comfortable and what's more um, what makes more sense to you, right? So okay, so let's get into it. So before I even go in, well, right now I'm getting ready to mix this one song, right? I will demo it to you in a while, right? So let me give you a bit of my thought process. So how it is I'm going about this is that first I will create a template, right? A beat template or just a template that I will technically go in and use most of the times, right? So, yes, this will involve going into machine itself, right? And going to each individual track and routing out all the the audio, right? You'll go to the sound, then go to the output, right, of the audio section, right? And then you're going to click audio on top here, and then you're going to just keep changing all of these externals um, to match in Logic as well as, but you will also have to change machine to an actual multi-out, right? And as you change machine to an multi-out, all you have to do is just add the tracks as you I would go out do all 16 because you would never know how much you will ever need. I mean, I have hardly have I ever used 16 honestly, but you never know, right? As you could see, I've have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, something like that, right? Something eight, eight, 7 or 8 odd tracks also, right? So so you do that, right? You set up everything, and then you when you go back in, you right click and you say sounds to MIDI notes, right? Right click on the name, or you could even do it up here. Right click and you go sounds to notes, right? MIDI notes, right? Um, that's how I set up my thing, right? Because when I lay down my tracks within Machine, I then later drag the MIDI into Logic, where I go and put in my synths and stuff, right? So so I could just be watching at one screen in Logic, not necessarily going back and forth between Machine. So I just really wanted to have my MIDI right there and then, right? Now we could say, okay, part one would be okay. Well, you don't necessarily have to go that far. You could just drag and drop the wave, or you could just drag and drop the wave, right? By going into the keyboard mode and clicking and dragging out an instance of the song that you selected, right? So that workflow works really great as well if you know that's all you need. But to me, like to go back and forth, I need a little bit more flexibility. So technically, if I was good here, right, I'll go in and I'll just drag out every individual sound, because right now I'm getting ready to mix, as I said. So I would have dragged out every individual sound, but the problem with dragging out every individual sound is just that it's not really about time. It's just about more or less if you ready to commit that to audio, if you believe that is the finished audio, and because you will have to go back in and re-export and then line back up everything, depending on how you mix it. So let's say if you dragged out, let's say if I dragged out a kick, right, and I already had arranged the song, but for some reason I don't like the kick anymore, right, and I find a new kick, I'll have to go and reprogram the kick exactly every position where it was at in Logic, if that makes sense, right? So that's the problem, that I don't know. Like I would leave the bouncing part to me, the last stage, because it would give me more flexibility of arrangement and what songs do I want. So I hope that you all understand the thought process, because we're here to make smart mixers and smart decisions, right? So anyway, um So right. So if that's again, if you know that's what you want to do, move on. If you want to stay in here and you want to progress now, right? You want to get that ultimate flexibility, then I would say um then I would say go back in and do exactly how I set it up, right? So now when you drag, sorry, when you go back in and you hold out, you let's say if you go back to this view here and you hold out, right, and you drag all the patterns and stuff, it's going to line up and it's going to be on one MIDI lane, just as how it is right here, right? So, well, I mean, it would have been a one MIDI lane down here. Sorry. So right. So let me run through the track and show you before going into mixing. So now that you have heard the track, right? Now it's time to get into the final commitment of the audio before I go into mix anyway, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'll create a new MIDI track, right? And as I create the new MIDI track, you want to take, well, first of all, you want to, like, if these were separated, you would just take you would select all, Command J, and join all of them, right? All of the audio region, I mean the MIDI region, sorry. Then you would take the MIDI region and drag it up to here, right? To the new MIDI track that you have created. Then right click and then you go to MIDI and you separate by pitch, right? So then so much then, right? So after you've done all of that, then you just take the MIDI notes here, the MIDI regions, and just drag it down into it, right? So let's see. All right, so we see it works. Don't worry about the hi hats. I actually have the hi hats on a separate track. Yes. So at this point now, remember the reason why. Well, I don't know if I would have stated it already, but again, the reason why I would create a new audio track and then split it, because multi output in a regular, let's say, like if you do the ultra beat or some other thing, and you actually treat it as a multi out and you right click and you export and you do the bounce, this if you do this option here, sorry, if you go up here and you say here and then you say bounce, or regions or track in place, right? This include instrument multi outputs does not work for Maschine for some reason. Well, in my case anyway. So my workaround was to split up the audios, right? Go on, create a new track, take that, take the MIDI and do exactly what I just did, split it up and then drag it back in here. And so after that, now here's the quote unquote tedious part, right? So all you have to do after you do that is just now bounce. Now you go in and bounce in place, or you bounce the region or whatever, right? Let's say if I'm calling this the kick, I want to mute it to make sure to know. Right, let's go. If I've done this correctly, it should work. Hopefully. And it does work, right? So let's see. Let me even drag this out here. All right, so it does work. So what you will go through and do, you will do the same thing, right? Go in, right? Bounce in place, and then you get your tracks, and then right. If you want, after you have finished, right? My whole point of doing this workflow, as I said, is to get into that mindset. Like I said it in the other videos, is to get in that mindset of getting ready to mix and not having to go back, right? I want to break that link from production to mixing where I have to just use what I have, right? And not go back to the production process. So after when I'm doing this, because I would have said, you know what, press H, and then after I exported all, or bounced all, just hide drums so that I have an instance of machine still there. But again, it's going to add to my CPU, and not, again, I'm trying to get in that mindset of completing it and going into the mixing process. So, all right. So my suggestion is after it's done, delete it and save it as a new, save this process as a new from, okay, mix one, you know. So that's what I would suggest doing. All right. So yeah, I hope that this has been um educational, and I hope that you know that you get something from it and you could apply it in your new workflows. And you know, any questions, just let me know. If somebody finds out how to make the multi-output bouncing to work, if somebody figures out how to make it work, just let me know and we'll go from there. All right. So anyway, see you guys soon, and yeah, later.